Look, listen, y'all are alive, but are you really alive?
It is not the movement of the clock that produces the newness of life. It is the movement in your mind.
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
We have to be the change we want to see. If you lead this protest and you don't elevate yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically, don't wake up tomorrow thinking the world gonna be changed.
We need each other. We need to believe in each other enough to where I can trust you. Y'all hear that?
Yeah.
That's real. I want to be able to trust you.
People in my age group need to be able to step back and allow y'all to step up.
And we'll rise up, rise like the day. We'll rise up, we'll rise unafraid.
All lives matter!
Black lives matter!
And we are back, y'all. You want to hit us one time? Say it.
Hit us with wood. The toast.
The toast.
Let's go ahead and toast it up. New episode. Up to it. Down to it. Forget those that don't do it. We do it because we used to it. Peace, my family.
Do it, do it, do it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's kind of strong. I got some Steven Seagal. I ain't drunk that in years. It's got a little kick to it.
Are
So,
you saying that after the actor?
yeah, Steven Seagal.
Is his?
No, it ain't. Definitely ain't his. But yeah,
It
got a
looked
little
like
kick to it. So we Three Guys No Lies, and we are on episode. What's this? We've been off for a while.
Yeah, we
4, 3, 4.
3, season 2, 3. Okay.
Is it 3?
Yeah.
You sure?
Sure. Smooth.
Yeah, I think it's season 4.
Oh,
episode
wow.
It's what?
Season
I
2.
thought it was episode 4.
Episode 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So I am Chuck D.
My name is Oya, the poet, the walking poet, the fire-breathing dragon, the vampire slayer, the grandfather slayer, the girl that you want to take home to your mother.
And I'm Said Jack, and we got our guest in the
name is
house.
Smooth.
Oh, I forgot about Smooth. My bad.
Forgot Smooth was
My
on
name
the
is
phone.
Smooth. I'm still here.
My bad, Smooth. And we got a guest in the house. Goes by.
David, the mother slayer, grandmother slayer, and sister slayer.
Sister slayer, bro.
Oh man.
I'll take a drink on that one.
Hey, so if you don't see Smooth physically on YouTube,
It's
that's
because
because
he blended into the black.
yeah, he
table.
blended in. Yeah, he's in the invisible state, but we can still hear him though. Yeah, he in his wall somewhere.
Open your eyes. Open your eyes, Smooth.
He on that wall
your
somewhere.
eyes.
We ain't have enough chairs for him, so he just closed his eyes and talked. Hey, so what's going on, man? Y'all good?
Man, just trying to survive it, man.
Yeah. So we have a special guest, David. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, so grew up in Southwest Little Rock, graduated from Little Rock Central High School, known Cedric since we were about 6 or 7 years old. Literally grew up on the same street, played basketball together, hung out, our whole lives, and have remained close this entire time. And
That's what's up.
through all of this, I think it's important to reach out to the people that are close to you, especially those that are hurting and going through certain things. And I think some of this was initiated by a post I made on Facebook, and then I reached out to Cedric and said, hey, I know you guys have been doing this. I think people need to start speaking out and trying to do something to make a change. And so really love to be a part of it. And maybe try to answer some questions from perspective on my side, and then also talk through some things and figure out what the solution is as we move forward, so we can bring all this to an end.
Okay.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
so
man, I like that.
what was the I know you don't have a word for word, but like, can we get a little detail on the post?
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
made?
Yeah, so of course the world changed with the COVID thing, and
Right.
everybody was quarantined, and then with the George Floyd killing, a lot of people started posting on social media. That seems to be the outlet for so many people now, and just everything spread so wildly on social media, good and bad. And so a lot of people started posting, and one of the big topics was about white privilege and whether or not white privilege really exists, and the conversation surrounding that, what that means. So my post basically just said, Cedric and I grew up together, came from very similar upbringings, got the same type of education, but the fact that if you do not acknowledge that you get some societal privilege just by default by being white, then you're a part of the problem.
Right.
And so I made that post, and it was a picture of Cedric and I, and then a picture of my son and Cedric's son, who are the same age, and like the same things and all of that, but they haven't yet realized that the world views them differently.
Right.
And so I just talked about the fact that there's certain things that Cedric has had to face, and probably things he has to prepare his son to face that I don't ever think about, not because I'm blind to it, just simply because I don't face those things personally. But that doesn't mean they're not happening, and that was the part I wanted to make clear is, as a white person, if you're not using that privilege
Right.
to try to make a difference, you are part of the problem.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, in regards to that, it really doesn't matter. You can start off on the same field, but like once you grow up, it's a different type of privilege because of your color. You know what I mean? Classism, racism. We have to distinguish the two or whatever. So, yeah, that was pretty good, man. And so we seen that, and we had to have you on so we can have this conversation.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
Necessary.
oh yeah.
Yeah, we really appreciate you. Just we know we sit back and we speak on the topic all the time, but to have a different perspective from the other side and really seeing what's going on, you know, things you're speaking out. We commend you, man. So we appreciate you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So with that being said, of course you know the climate of the United States right now. We're going through so much on top of COVID, which is caused some type of was caused a pandemic, and then the killing of George Floyd, which is caused protests everywhere. It's kind of hard and to digest. So, what have we been doing in the Little Rock community with the movement?
Actually, so Little Rock has really been trying to be proactive. We have experienced, deaths from situations like what happened with George Floyd, and condolences to his family.
Yes.
And Breonna Taylor, and also I think his name was Ahmaud.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Yep, that we lost this year. But a lot of blacktivists, as I like to call them, have been organizing, trying to be proactive. We've met with the governor, we've met with the chief of police, and we've been pretty much discussing policies that we can put in place that could help prevent these situations from happening. A lot of it is different levels to it, so sometimes we get caught up on black and white, sometimes we get caught up on blue and black, but it's several, and we also get caught up on black and black, but there are several different issues that our community face. And so you have the movement. We've been focusing on the mental and emotional health that our community has been dealing with, and you have Little Rock Carbon, who have also been organizing protests, and they've been focusing on community cleanup, making sure that we do several things that our community needs in order to feel like we care about ourselves. It's the little things that count. And you also have another group of activists. I don't think they're named, but they've been making sure to apply pressure. We've definitely applied a lot of pressure to Governor Asa Hutchinson. Over the last couple of weeks, I'm talking pressure, and we've just been, trying to be proactive to prevent it from happening. As you know, like last year, we lost Bradley Blackshire, and then we also didn't feel like our community cared for us because the guy who killed him was reinstated. And he continues to work for the police force here. And so those are some of the issues that we have been dealing with. We just recently lost, actually, this week we lost a young man named Tyler, and the officer that pretty much harmed him or took his life from him. I'm trying to not say such harsh words. He's still in office also. So we're just trying to make sure that we can, if we can be proactive enough to prevent it from happening, we need to make sure that we have policies in place that don't protect people when they just blatantly make mistakes like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So I guess that goes into the what do you guys think about police reform? Do you think it's police reform and police defunding, like those two issues? Let's dive into those. I throw it out there and let you guys discuss, and let's have a discussion about it. What do you think about those two issues?
You want me to start, or go ahead?
Well, for one, I believe like a solution to the issue of the police brutality and stuff like that would be to stop having the city pay out lawsuits. That should come from their pensions, the retirement, and stuff like that. Because if the good ones start losing money, maybe they'll start telling on their bad partners.
Yeah.
Because right now it's like, okay, you kill a dude, you get a vacation. You know what I'm saying? You could be ready to go for a trip to Miami.
Yeah.
And the supervisor say, "Nah, we can't let you off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go kill somebody. I'm gonna get my paid time." It looks like that. It's stupid. The policies in place, they have too much protection. Especially the Fraternal Order of Police. It's real known ties to the Klan. And it's
established in 1915.
Right. But they need to look at, start holding more accountability, and the only way to do that is to start hitting their pockets.
Oh yeah. Hit them where it hurts.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely, I think that there's a misconception when we say defund the police. I think a lot of people are misunderstanding and saying that we're saying get rid of the police.
Right.
But that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is reallocate the funds that we're using, because what's happening is the police are getting new cars, tear gas, rubber bullets, and all this military gear. And it's as if they are getting ready for war with the citizens instead of protecting and serving the citizens.
Right.
And I think it's very important that if we take the time out to look at how much money they spending, like they spending a lot of money on this stuff. If they take those funds and reallocate them to community policing or something like that, like community events, stuff for the community, then I think that our tax dollars would be being used better. Because as of right now, it just, like for me, it feels like every time I get pulled over, it feels like I'm dealing with an enemy.
Right.
And I shouldn't feel that way for someone who puts on a uniform. You chose to be a police officer to protect and serve, and I feel like you're my enemy. I don't know what to expect when you pull me over.
Right.
I don't know what you're thinking of me. I don't know if you saw a TV show where you seen an angry black woman and you think that I'm that angry black woman. I don't know. Because you don't, a lot of times black people, we don't get the luxury of being expected to have education. We are typecasted or stereotyped, and that has a lot to do with how people respond to us. And I say people, but that has a lot to do with how police officers respond to us in situations. So I had something else to say, but I lost it. So I don't want to spend all the time talking.
I feel like defunding the police funds, I don't think that's necessary. And only because I served in the military,
Right.
and I know that despite the negativity that's going on right now, they still have a job, so they still need these fundings to have the better cars, to have the faster cars, to have the better armory and equipment and weapons, because that's their job. Now, as far as like changing up their like we said, after you kill a human being, they go on paid vacation. If we change up the structure, we pay attention to what's going on that already has been planted, and we reground that, have a better foundation. I think in the future, those that our tax dollars that we spend all this money on these new weapons and the new armory and the new vehicles, it can be used for the better. But right now, they're not using their power in the manner that it should be used. So I'm not for.
So Smooth, are you saying that the police need the rubber bullets and the, new cars,
Tear gas,
all that?
Tear gas. We definitely can go do away with tear gas, especially against your people. I disagree with that. But like the new weapons, new cars, new equipment, and also rubber bullets. I agree that they need those things because, like I said, these are people to protect and serve the people. Like, they have enough courage to do that, and I think they should always have the better equipment that's been given out to society. And if we change the way their structure is, I think we can have a better police state of mind, so they know what they're signing up for.
Okay.
But right now, like I said, they're using it against black people. We're seeing the shooting. That's because they don't have enough education to know, hey, this is how you de-escalate. They go from 0 to 100.
Right.
So they have to be taught these things, and then we got to put more of that money into their school system, so they can know what they're doing.
So you mean like their trainings are only 13 weeks? We should, have them train longer than 13 weeks.
Extend their training.
Also, stuff like maybe culture background, having them, visit communities or something like that. I know one of the things that they're fighting for is having police officers actually live in the neighborhoods that they police. That way they get to know the people that they are protecting and serving. Yeah,
do some community outreach.
Yeah.
The police officers can do things like that. Like you said, so they know exactly who they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I don't think they need rubber bullets though. I mean,
we have mass school shootings still. We have still people going to movie theaters and shooting people.
Right.
We can de-escalate like that. That's when you have your rubber bullets and your armory that's being used in a good cause.
Yeah.
But whenever you have somebody that's getting shot because they're looking for their license and you're asking for their license registration, then that's the person in the system that's at fault, not the equipment. It's the people in the system.
Okay.
So we have to keep our eye focused on the system, changing the system.
Okay.
Okay.
David, what you think?
So I agree with parts of all of those things. I think if you do start with the reform and start hitting their pensions and kind of take away some of that funding for protection, then it will elicit better behavior for sure. But I think also rewinding it just a little bit, before you become a police officer, first thing is you're a human being.
Right.
And you can't change the behavior of a bad human.
Right.
And so just like there are bad people in all professions, of course there's going to also be bad police officers. And I think that's part of the issue. I also think, though, when they commit a crime or make a bad choice, there should be swift judicial reform that comes with that. They should be arrested quickly and go to trial quickly, just like if they were just a normal citizen. And
Right.
That's part of the challenge. But one bad mindset again can't foster another. Where now I feel like we're in the United States kind of getting to the mentality where there are justifiable, and this might rub some people the wrong way, but there are justifiable police shootings at times.
Yeah.
And so you don't ever want to get to the point where every single time, regardless of color, every single time a police officer shoots somebody, the police officer is in the wrong either. There has to be some conversation around all those things, but I also think that training is the key because, as we all know, in different neighborhoods and different parts of the city, especially in major cities, there's different cultures within communities as a whole. And so if you don't understand the community in which you're working, I don't understand how you can work in an area where you don't understand the culture of what's going on there in the community, and that has nothing to do with color. That's just culture within a neighborhood. I mean, our neighborhood growing up had a culture. The neighborhood I live in now has a culture. Those two things greatly differ. And so I think by putting somebody, like you said, you go through a 13-week training. Most of the education system in this country is antiquated anyway and needs to be completely overhauled, both the school system and professional training, because you can't prepare for those kind of things unless you go through some very in-depth training. So I think you got to reform the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But there's still going to be bad people.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
I don't know how we fix that part.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. Just like how they defund the school districts, I think they should do that with the police.
Fraternal order of
yeah,
police.
Yeah, because I mean, until you proven yourself to be worthy of having funds, I think you should be defunded until, you know what I mean, like those test scores are right with the school district, or something has to be given, or something has to be proven. Also, I think that with like reform, I think just like take into account what's his name, Tommy Norman.
Yep.
In North Little Rock, like he's a part of the community. I think that like all police officers, if they are patrolling, now don't get me wrong. Now I understand that there are more police officers patrolling certain areas of Little Rock and any major city where there's high crime rate. But I also think that police officers should be involved in the community. They should be sponsoring some type of like a community kickback, or get involved with the people of the community to gain their trust, because right now is no trust
Or
like
respect.
Right.
no trust or no respect on both sides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't be pulled over and being cussed out and your windows being busted out, or you know what I mean, because you ran a red light or something. You know what I mean? It's just it's something that has to go along with it. So I think people like police officers need to be involved in the community that they serve. They have hubs there and stations there. I think they need to be more involved and get into the community, kind of like what Tommy Norman does with his community in North Little Rock, off duty. You know what I mean? Our duty, like people love him. You know what I mean? He's respected. So that's, go ahead.
Okay, I want to say this, and then I won't say nothing else about it. I think this is where earlier I was like there are levels to it. So we can do all of these. We can reform. We can require police officers to come into the neighborhoods that they police. We can do all of that. Like Wednesday, we had a protest, and we reached out to state police, Little Rock Police Department. We reached out to all these different police departments, all of them, all these organizations, and asked for them to walk and protest in solidarity with us, the people, so that we could see the good ones, right? And of course, you know, the people of color that's on the force, they came out, but I didn't see but 2 non-African American or non-black police officers out there. And so then we have to still remember that in addition to black and blue and police being above the law, we are still dealing with teachings that are being passed down through our bloodlines. And we're dealing with teachings that we're inferior, and we're trying to counteract that. As a matter of fact, I believe that's why we're so angry, because the people have been really trying to affirm that that is not who we are anymore. And so you know, we have to still remember that some people, because my grandmother, she just died at 80 and she was picking cotton, you know what I mean? So we have to affirm that grandchildren are still being taught that they are superior to, you know what I'm saying, others. And so that's like we can put all these policies in place. We can try to force people to come out, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, what I know is that somebody's working at Little Rock Police Department that makes sure that majority of the people who actually get approved their application when they apply to become a police officer, I know that their classes come out majority white. I know that they don't put enough African Americans or allow enough, you know, African Americans to become police officers. I know that there's a systemic issue where most of our men are meant to be in prison versus meant to be police officers. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's levels upon levels upon levels of issues that we're dealing with. And I'm gonna drink some wine.
Drink your wine. Drink your wine.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that was a great point. So let's talk about Rashad Brooks.
Before we do that, can I read this meme?
Okay, go ahead.
It makes so much sense. It says, if the police did their jobs, everyone would trust them. Ain't no song called Fuck the Fire Department.
That's so real.
That's true.
That is very
absolutely
real.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is true.
So,
Y'all want to make a song?
you said what? Oh, send the meme to the
And the
group.
other thing we deal with, I'm so sorry. It's because it's so much. We can try to put this in 30 minutes. But another thing we deal with is the police were created to catch slaves.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
Definitely.
we still, like, the reform is very important. Because I don't know what they're going through in their training, but it definitely, I think it got something to do with you round them up type stuff. So, you know what I'm saying?
So before we move past this part, again, I know we could probably talk about this all night. Maybe we should. But talking about the defunding, I think, and you were saying that the intent behind saying defunding is not to rid communities of police, but that's exactly what just happened in Minneapolis. Is the council passed it, and then of course the council president has been asked a couple of times. So what happens when there is no police and you put a community group, which I'm kind of envisioning like a oversized community watch program, but when you have a spree killer or something serious happening, who do you call? And she couldn't answer that question.
Wow.
And I think that's the part that we have to think through is there are a lot of good people that are in law enforcement that are trying to do the right thing.
Right.
But we have to figure out how to merge this trust and respect across the board for all people, that we're here to serve and protect. And serve being the key word in all of that is you are a public servant and your role and job is to serve the community.
Right.
And I think if they would embrace that, then that trust would continue to grow. I think the other challenge is that's not an overnight fix.
Yeah.
Correct.
So there's a whole lot of pain that has been there for many, many years, and a lot of things that are being done that are wrongdoings on their behalf. And now we've just kind of, it's just a bad problem.
Yeah, the issue is higher up the ladder because almost every time one of these cops, their record comes out after they kill somebody, they had so many violations in the past, you know, and if that would have been caught earlier or handled and, you know, kicked off the force or whatever, it wouldn't have happened.
It's a non-issue.
Yeah.
Right, so it's like the chiefs and all of these the captains got to be held accountable also.
Absolutely.
Because they're letting it slide by.
Yep.
Just I feel like go ahead, Chuck.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like black people mentality now they mental, it's way stronger than what it was. So a lot of the things that we used to let go bypass us, we're not doing that anymore. And this year, and we're starting to see, especially with the rioting and the looting, like a lot of black people are saying, forget these businesses. I understand, but right now we have a job to do, and this job we won't quit our job until y'all hear what we got to say.
Right.
And then once we get past the protest, then we can have more intellectual conversations. And we have people right now that's planning laws and rules and regulations that we can change. And we have to, all these pieces, they play a vital role. But right now, what we're doing and what we're seeing, it needed to happen. It needed to happen when I was 8 years old.
Right.
So now that we're seeing it now, our kids are going to be able to benefit from this. Our grandkids are going to be able to benefit from this. But right now, like I said, we're just sacrificing.
Yeah, I agree. Now, don't get me wrong. I do not think that the police need to be defunded and taken off the streets because, it's needed because
Yeah.
like it's gonna be a lot more killings if that
I
happens.
know some bad people. And I'm like, hey, I'm calling the authorities.
You know
on
what I mean? Like
buddy,
it's
do it again.
needed. Now it's the bad apples need to be taken away, but only way you can know the bad apples if they reveal themselves. You know what I mean? Like you have to thoroughly investigate who these people are, serving and protecting. If they have a chip on their shoulders, if they have they went through some type of, because it's a lot of
They
people.
got PTSD. A lot of
Right.
police officers
A lot
are
of
military.
Yeah, they're military, and I think not a knock on military, but like if you've been serving time in war, if you have that stress and that traumatic issue, I don't think being a police officer on these streets needs to be a good idea for you. But that's all they know, though. You know what I mean? So I think it needs to be some type of therapy or counseling that they need to go through to deal with these issues, because it's deeper than just being overly aggressive. Why are you overly aggressive with?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're not insurgents. You know what I mean? Like, why are you overly aggressive with us in our neighborhoods? You live here too. You know what I mean? So it's that issue, and it's something that needs to be handled and reformed the right way, properly. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's I mean, I guess anybody else got something to say before I move on? Go ahead, Oya.
Again, I don't necessarily agree with getting rid of the police.
Right.
I do believe, you know what I'm saying, that it's possible for neighborhood watch, because actually in Arkansas we can do citizens arrest here. And yes, there are, people, but our community suffers from being poor. And we don't have the education system. Like, we don't have the education, we don't have the economics, we don't have the mental ability, or we don't have what's needed in order to make better for ourselves. Mm-hmm. We are targeted from big name brands, and we're targeted. So when we do get money, we don't know how to invest our money. We don't have, you know what I'm saying, like that type of information allotted to us. And even though it's, Google, whatever, everybody got an iPhone or Android, we don't even know that we don't know.
Right.
And that's very, very important. And so a lot of times, like, we had a killing where a black guy killed another black guy this week, and we went and we spoke to the mother of the son that she just lost. And so just recognizing, like, when we found that mother, she lived in the projects.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, in the projects, which means that financially she probably in debt because she just had to bury her son. Right. You know what I'm saying? She probably didn't know much about having a life insurance policy for him.
Yeah, probably.
You know
didn't
what I'm
have
saying? So these are things like we have an economical battle, and wherever there is poverty, there's going to be crime.
Crime follows poverty. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
definitely.
So they instead of taking and increasing police presence in those areas, we should be teaching these people. And I say these people because I had to teach myself to get out of that, because I'm from population 3,000. You know what I'm saying? I moved to Little Rock. I forced myself to get an education. Like, I forced that upon myself because I said I didn't want to keep living like this. Mm-hmm. So we have to, we have to teach people, you know what I'm saying? And we have to be able to build that community. We got open carry. We don't even have to have a license to have a weapon. So those people who are militant but don't want to go to the military, we need to have them on the, you know what I'm saying, like the neighborhood watch, because they can keep the gang issues, like they can check that. One, because they're mentoring these boys. They're teaching them, they're talking to them. Like, that's very, very important. Like, hey, let's go on a community trip. Take all the kids in the projects and take them to Texas and let them see that something's bigger.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, talk to them about getting a passport.
Yeah.
And when you know that there's something out there better for you, you're going to make better decisions for yourself.
But where does that funding come from?
That, I don't know yet.
Because I think that's the bigger. I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying 100%. I think the challenge is in neighborhoods where they're very poverty stricken.
Actually, I do know where it
When
comes from.
people get a little bit of money, all of a sudden they control the neighborhood, because if they have the money, they have the power and have the control and the influence.
The money comes from investing in our black businesses, because that black owner is connected emotionally. If I invest in your business, you aren't connected to the killings as much as that black owner would be connected to that killing. I can then hold that black owner accountable. I rent from a black person. I work for a black person because I can only control my dollar right now. And so I think that it's very, very important that we take the dollar that exists in our community from 6 hours to 6 days. You know what I mean? Like, at least, you know what I'm saying? And okay. And so basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, we do have to invest in our businesses and start, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have so many businesses, black owned businesses here, that we got an Uncle T's. Uncle T's should be competing with Kroger and Walmart.
Oh yeah.
With how long he's been there. But he's not competing because we don't value him as much as we value Kroger, or as much as we value Walmart.
I think we don't push entrepreneurship enough in the black community. We tell our people that we need education, we need college, and we need a degree in order to compete in society. But I'm saying fuck that degree. Fuck that.
You need a trade.
Yeah, I need to get me a trade. I need to go to Pulaski Tech for
the
2
kids
semesters.
That want agriculture.
Yeah, right. And give me a air condition or welding class, and build my wealth from this welding class. Build my wealth from barbershops. Build my wealth from my hands, instead of going and trying to compete with them, which is never going to be an even ground. So why would I want to compete with them? You know what I mean? Not saying that is unfair, but like, I mean, it is what it is. So you know what I mean? Like,
it is what it is.
Right. So I mean, I'm making my generational wealth my way. So I'm bypassing what the standard of American living is and doing it my way, because I know that I can make instead of making $1 with a degree, I can make $10 doing it myself. You know what I mean? So I'm saying fuck the degree. I can go out there and go from the mud and start from the bottom up, because I'll appreciate it more that way than I would going and getting a degree and then I think I'm obligated to have something.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I think overall, like not even black people, I think like blacks, and I think every culture needs to push entrepreneurship, and some have. Now don't get me wrong, some have, like Chinese people have. You know what I mean? They'll get a beauty salon and put it in a black community and make millions. Millions and billions.
A beauty supply store.
Yeah. And what's crazy is they will sell their business and get under new management, but it won't be us. It'll be them, because they'll sell to whoever's in their group, because they have specific groups that they're invested into. They have investment groups with they all put together.
They cooperate with.
Yeah, they all put in certain amount of money together, and they help the one person build. And then once that person builds, they give their money, they pay that loan back within each other, and then that person builds another way. And you know what I mean? It's just all coming together, and it's just circulating their money within themselves.
Mind you that, again, it's in our blood. These are the curses that we deal with. We have been taught to betray each other. So collaborating on a business and choosing one, and I'm finna say this word, don't judge me, I'm sorry, but choosing one nigga to win ain't in our, we don't trust each other like that, because we scared that when that nigga start winning, that nigga gonna go to these white people and try to start being cool with them. You know what I'm saying? And that's a fear that I have, like, you know what I'm saying? And I working for a black woman, I literally have to tell myself that's not what it is. She genuinely cares. You know what I mean? And like, it's a lot that we have to deal with. But yeah.
It's all about the mentality, though. That's the biggest thing. Like, we as a whole, we have to change the way we've been thinking for so many years.
Right.
We think that we got rid of the issue, but it's an underlying default that we always get to focus on, because we always have different things. One thing I don't understand is if I have somebody robbing me,
Got 2 minutes, Mo.
I shoot them, and I shoot them. They're in my house. They about to rob me. I shoot them in their back. I go to jail. But you have people that you see that film all the time. Police officers are shooting people in their back, and it's justified. That's something that I don't understand. So we gotta go focus on these little things right here.
Yeah.
Make that the topic of discussion, and that's the only thing we're talking about throughout the rest of this year. Just our issue. It's not like just like with all Black lives and all lives. Like we understand all lives matter, but right now we're focusing on Black lives. So let's find a narrative. Let's stick to that.
All right. So there was a shooting last week. So apparently, Rashard Brooks
yeah.
Brooks was sleeping in his car at Wendy's. He was approached by the police. He got out in Atlanta. Yeah, he got out. There was some back and forth. He was resisting. He definitely was resisting. He got into an altercation, grabbed the. It was 2 police officers. They couldn't get him. And that's no excuse. He grabbed
the taser.
Grabbed his taser, and he was on his turned away and was running and got shot 3 times in the back. Right. So, what say ye? I'm gonna throw it up and let y'all dunk it down. I've been drinking a little bit.
So he was, and I haven't read this. So he was sleeping in the parking lot.
Yeah, he was sleeping in the drive-through.
He was sleeping in the drive-through.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was drunk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That happened before.
That doesn't justify dying,
No.
but still.
Apparently somebody from Wendy's went to try to wake him, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
So they called the police. Yeah.
Police tried, according to the body cam, police said they tried to wake him and went back to sleep. He went over there, woke him again, in his car, and just when they had a conversation, and went to arrest him. I saw it from 2 different videos, and next thing I know, it was on the
All right, so somebody got the story.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
KK
KK telling the story, but
Tell a story.
okay. So what happened was, the dude, he was probably intoxicated, or he was intoxicated. He was in Wendy's drive-through, and he pretty much somebody from Wendy's tried to wake him up. He blacked out. They called the cops because that's what police officers do. They help you in time of need like that. And the police officers tried to wake him up. He went back to sleep. Right? Then the police officers was like trying to get him out the car, right?
Yeah, he
And
eventually
then
got out.
He eventually got out the car, but he ran.
No, he eventually got out. There was a
They were
conversation.
fighting,
Yeah, and then eventually they tried to arrest him. He resisted. He ended up getting one of the police officers' taser and pointed it at him. And while he was turning around to run away, they shot him 3 times in the back.
In the conversation.
Yeah.
In the
Which one of y'all talked about that?
Hold on, I'm trying to regurgitate what KK saying.
Okay.
One of the body cams, you can hear the conversation, and the guy basically asked him if he could walk home or if they could take him home. So he was compliant at first.
He didn't want to take a breathalyzer.
Yeah, he didn't want to go to jail.
Yeah, he didn't want to go. Well, basically, yeah, that's
didn't
it.
wanna-
He
okay.
just didn't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
Because I think his daughter's birthday was today or some day after.
He
Yeah.
knew he was fucked
Okay.
up.
And the only weapon he had was a taser.
No, he didn't have
No,
a
so
taser.
he didn't have a taser. He took one of the police
Yeah, they
officers'
got into an
tasers.
altercation. He ended up with one of the officer's tasers and pointed it at the officer and turned around to run, and they shot him 3 times in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what do y'all talk about that then?
He was black.
Yeah, he was black.
Yeah, let me read this real quick because it's a post. It was shared to the group, but it says it's like points 1 through 10. It said he was asleep in his car. Don't assume the reason why. Regardless of the reason, he was asleep in his car. Yes, his car might have blocked easy access from people getting their burgers, but they could drive around the car and still have access. This isn't a reason to kill someone. 3, does he appear to be intoxicated? Perhaps. but we don't know for sure. 4, if he was indeed intoxicated, could this be the reason he was sleeping in his car to wait until he was sober? Major possibility. Sadly, they killed him, so we can't ask him. 5, was he resisting arrest? Yes. 6, was he grabbing for a taser? Yes. 7, was he unarmed? Yes. 8, even if he got away, could cops use his license plate to find him and go to his home and ticket him anyway? Yes. Did he need to be shot in the back 3 times and killed while running away? No. 10, if you can't see how this is an example of systemic racism at work, does that make you part of the problem?
So
It's continuously over and over again. People will make it seem like just because a person's actions or their history is not squeaky clean that they deserve a death penalty.
Right.
Time and time again, when something happens, they'll try to dig up their past.
Yeah.
Even with Botham John.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing they could find is that he had weed in there.
Yeah.
And they tried their best to make it seem like that made him a bad person. We got somebody with an unclean record right now in the White House.
Right.
So for y'all to keep, for them to keep saying, oh, he had a history, oh, he's this and that, that does not mean nothing. It's that at that moment, what happened to him, did he do anything that required death?
To be killed. And that's the thing. It's like we are so advanced to where you could have ran his license plate, found out where he lived, and he could have got away that night and spent his daughter's birthday with her, right? But even if you wanted to shoot him, or even if you chose to shoot him, you didn't have to do a fatal shot. This is where we go back to the training. Y'all, I see in the movies, and granted, this all I know about police officers is what I see in TV shows and movies, but they always at the gun range.
Right.
The problem is the silhouette that they shooting is fatal.
Right.
They shooting in all the fatal areas. You know what I mean? So it's just like, why y'all not practicing? One, why didn't they have rubber bullets at the time? So that because the rubber bullets are non-fatal, non-lethal, right?
Right.
Huh?
Yeah, but at that moment, it's hard to say, okay, let me take out this clip and put in my rubber bullets for this altercation.
You shouldn't. I don't feel like maybe they should have 2 separate guns. You know what I'm saying, or something like that. I don't know. So
the rubber bullets would be like in a shotgun or beanbag or something like that.
So why not use that?
But they're trained to. They don't shoot for non-fatal. They're trained to stop whatever the threat is.
So
that is their training. Well, not necessarily always dying, but they're not trained to shoot you in the leg. I mean,
it's easier to hit center mass than try to shoot somebody in the arm or the leg.
That's how they're trained.
I'm pretty sure a drunk man wasn't running that fast. He wasn't that far away.
No, I'm not justifying anything of what happened with him, but I'm just saying as far as their training, they're not training for the arms or the legs.
Again, being a police officer is a choice. Even if we take into account that he was drunk, being drunk is a choice. Choosing not to drive was his choice. To go to sleep was his choice. To calm down was his choice. So dealing with everything that we're dealing with, now we got to deal with the fact that the police, everything in the media happening, you know what I'm saying? He dealing with the fact that he think they finna kill him anyway. The police dealing with the fact that we don't know if we can, you know what I'm saying, de-escalate this situation without it, you know what I'm saying? Like, so many
it's a tough
levels.
climate.
It's just terrible. I don't think he should have had to die.
And then they burned down the Wendy's. Isn't that right? They burned
down the Wendy's.
Yeah.
What was the point of burning down the Wendy's?
I don't understand that either.
And that's what I was about to ask David. What are your thoughts about people looting and burning down these businesses?
Yeah, so I mean, again, I think one crime doesn't justify another crime is the easy answer, but I also think that destruction and acting out in anger is the voice of the hurt, and so I think people are just hurting right now and trying to figure out a good way to communicate that. And unfortunately, one of the easiest ways to try to get your message across is by doing those things. It's kind of like combating physical with physical. But I also think that challenges back to the perception thing of, is this going to be a peaceful protest, or are we going to deal with rioting? I mean, today they closed the Walmart on Bowman and Highway 10 because
There's four
they were okay.
locations.
4 of them. They were anticipating rioting coming, and I don't know that any of those things are the solution. But I also think that until somebody steps up and there's some mass change, I don't know what the easy answer is.
Okay. Okay. Until somebody steps up, and that's leading to my next question. Do you think Donald Trump, our president, is doing what he's supposed to do as a leader?
No. Short answer, no. I also don't think that there's anybody in a position of power. I just had this conversation the other day. I think right now in this climate, it's the perfect time for somebody to showcase their leadership skills either on a local level or a regional level or a national level and come out and say, I'm taking control of the situation. This is what's going to happen in this community. And maybe that would foster change in other communities. And I've been sadly disappointed by the leadership, not only in our own state and communities, but also across the country, that nobody has stepped up and been the face of this issue and said,
Because
we're going to make a change.
nobody really cares.
Well, I think there are a lot of people that care. I just think everybody either is scared of the backlash they'll receive.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Then you don't care. You have to choose. Like you have. There's either right and then there's wrong.
But I think that's on both sides. I think there's right and wrong all the way across the board, and I think until there can be some educated, civil conversation and we really push for change, and it's going to take a long time. That's the other issue, I think, is there's not a today fix, and I think that's the biggest challenge is we're going to have more things happen. We're already in a bad climate. This just happened in Atlanta. There's no doubt that other things are going to happen. The economy's not good. Unemployment is bad. And, all of these things combined add to part of the challenge that we're going through as a country. And so I think somebody, again, as a leader that can really make a change, because all of us can sit here and talk about what the solutions are and talk about change, and we can change the things that happen around us. We can do that, and I think we all have to do our part to do that. But to make widespread change, it's got to be somebody big.
And there's a big question that's leading this conversation is, do we know the issue, and do we have a plan to change the issue? I think we all, definitely Black people, that's something that we have to ask ourselves. Do we see the issue? And then if we do, we list all the issues, and then we come up with a solution to fix these problems. But then we have to have, like you said, somebody that's strong-minded that we can cold-heartedly support, because we don't do that as a Black community. So we have to change our mindset, and then once we come up with a person that we can support, we give them our list of things that we want to change and how we change it, and then let them be the voice for all Black people.
No, that's not gonna work.
That's how we say that it cannot work, but it worked for the white people. Whenever they came up with in creating the laws of the land, they came as a collective. And even though they may not like each other, even though they may had an argument right before, but when they're out there in society, in the public, they support each other. From ground zero to all the way to 100. So we have to do that as Black people.
That's where we go back to. We are programmed not to be like that. Mind you, the melanin.
So we have to change that.
The melanin in our skin, we are supposed to be unified, but we dealing with 400 years of having to I can't even think of what I'm trying to say.
Reprogram.
Having to reprogram 400 years of betrayal.
That's perfectly fine, and we can do that as Black people. We can do that. I'm not worried about what somebody did to me yesterday. I'm creating a plan today, so I know for a fact it will not happen tomorrow. The same thing that you did 400 years ago, you're not going to be able to do to me tomorrow.
That's true.
Because I'm creating my mindset. I'm changing my mindset. So that's what we have to do. Is forget the program. Just like with police. Forget their program. Restructure a whole complete new program. And that's mentally, though. As people, we have to change the way we think.
My thing
is, that's our solution to our plan.
Say we just use us, right? Smooth has a plan. We gonna reprogram. All right. Well, you got 3 of us. We got 4 people at the table. Chuck and Said agree with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't. David.
David.
You know, he's like, not necessarily experiencing the same thing we're experiencing, but he's like, okay, well, y'all gotta do what y'all gotta do. You know what I mean? Like, there's the division there. Like,
That's with every plan. It's always going to be division. So if the majority of the people vote for this, let's try this out. And if it doesn't work, then we go back to the drawing board and create something different.
make being black a democracy. I'm sorry.
we have to change, and we can't look for the change. We have to be the change that we're looking for.
I'm here for that.
And then you have a better world.
Cool.
What you think, Breast Man?
What'd you say, Black Noise? What'd you say?
Wait, why are you calling him breast man? You got titties?
Yeah,
I have
breast.
a chest.
Yeah, man
Chesticles.
boobs.
I have chesticles. I have.
Chesticles.
It's chesticles.
Hey guys, let's switch it a little bit. Let's change. Well, not change topics, but let's go on to another little subject. NASCAR. NASCAR has, this is epic. NASCAR has officially banned the Confederate flag. What's your take on the Confederate flag?
He said Confederate.
I'm like,
I said Confederate.
You said Confederate.
he said Confederate.
Did I say Confederate? Okay.
That was wrong.
I said Confederate. I definitely said Confederate. I know what I said. I'm drunk.
Weird.
I'm drunk, but I know what I said.
I said what I said.
Well, anyway, NASCAR has banned the Confederate flag. I said it right. Well, anyway, what's your now let me start. Now, I grew up in well, most of y'all know I grew up in Fushdown over there by the airport. So it's, you know what I mean, Fush is Fush. You know what I mean? It ain't College Station, it ain't East End. It's majority white people stay there or whatever. So I mean, I'm yeah, where I was. So I never really had a problem. You know what I mean? I never had a problem with people of like white people, black people, nothing like that. But I did see the Confederate flag growing up. But my perception of the Confederate flag was they're just rednecks. You know what I mean? They love their rebels. That's what they used to say. I'm a rebel. I'm a redneck. I'm proud of where I came from. I've never judged them by being racist or anything like that. Now that was me being young and not understanding what the Confederate flag meant or whatever. But it's just how I grew up. So I mean, like, to you guys, what's the Confederate flag? What does that mean to you all?
It's like a symbol of those who fought to keep slavery alive.
Okay.
To me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always thought that, like, yeah, it was what people thought to keep the slaves at bay or whatever. But they lost. You know what I mean? So I mean, at that point when I was growing up, I just thought they was just rednecks. You know what I mean? They just had southern pride. That's what I thought. You know what I mean? So
That's a good way to put it.
yeah.
As a blacktivist,
Okay.
okay, and I'm gonna sound real weird when I say this.
Okay.
I don't think that banning the Confederate flag is a good idea.
Okay.
If you believed in man labor and you believed in stuff like that, I want to know you believed in it. Because I'd be damned if you tell me that I can't have my flag up.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
What flag you get? What flag you get?
I don't have no flag.
Oh.
But when she gets one.
Okay.
If I ever become a Moor,
Okay. Yeah,
I'll have a flag. But the thing is I want to know, you know, what you believe in. And it's like we fought so much to be able to be who we are. You know what I'm saying? And I think we get sidetracked with fighting to take some white people, who they are away. And I don't want to take that from you. If that's your culture and that's what you believe in, then okay, I know where you stand. But
I like that.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's like I mean, I get it. You wanted to keep slavery because it was economically. We
yeah.
came over here. We were the first. You know what I'm saying? We were money. We
Right.
were literally wealth.
Yeah.
So having, you know what I'm saying? Like I think that it was very important to them to make sure that that economic structure stayed there. That makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because the shoes
They ain't
on the
getting
other,
out there.
right. So I think that's very important. I don't want to take away anybody's right. I just want to have the ability to be equal. And I mean, shoot. When people work for other people, you do labor. That's a form of slavery to me. It is because you wake up, you mad as hell. You don't know if your boss is in a bad mood, they could take that out on you and all that type of stuff. So I don't take it down because I need to know. That's the one symbol that lets me know how you feel, and I'm never gonna apply there. But if you hide it from me, and that's what I fear about racism now. It's being hidden and covered up.
I like that. I mean the thought process. Yeah, I agree.
David.
Well, you can't get any more redneck than NASCAR.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We can start there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't. I mean, obviously, growing up in Little Rock, which is the South, seen the Confederate flag or rebel flag, like you said, but it was never a prominent thing to me, and I never really thought anything about it, honestly, until and Cedric probably won't remember this, but Cedric's brother Nigel wrote a poem one time. I think he was trying to make a rap song, but we weren't ever very good at that. They were, but I wasn't. But in the rap song, it talked about, or a poem, it talked about the Confederate flag.
Oh, sorry, Dave. You said you was rapping?
No, sir. No, sir. I tried a couple times. Cedric shut me down pretty quick.
Drop some bars.
Yeah.
Drop some bars.
He shut me down pretty quick. But in this poem or rap song Nigel wrote, it talked about what the Confederate flag meant to him, about raping our women and some real touchy things. And you remember that?
No.
See, profound to me. So for me at that time,
I heard so much of his stuff, so it's like it probably don't stick as
But I was
Dave was listening to it like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I think I was their only fan. Yeah, we were like 13 or 14 at the time, and so it resonated with me that was a symbol that meant something far greater to someone else than it ever did to me. And so if I know that people I care about are hurt by the ideology behind that, then why would I ever perpetuate something that doesn't mean anything to me?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the challenge with the climate we're in, is that those ideologies aren't individual. There are people with the rebel flag license plate or have the flag on their house and things, but even bigger things than that, there's cities that do that. And I think that's where the bigger issue is kind of like, what are you standing on as a country and as a state or as a community if you're supporting those things as a whole, if it's hurting people that also contribute and are citizens of that community.
Right.
That's the bigger issue to me.
Yeah.
If that community, you know what I'm like, I don't have to go and do anything with NASCAR. You know what I mean? Like, that's my freedom. That's my choice.
Right.
And so my thing is like, with our, because they fighting to get the Confederate statues taken down at the Capitol, and I mean, we have the Little Rock 9 also over there, and so I'm just like, to me that's balance, and it's just like, yep, it was there, and I never want to forget that. And if you take that down, then I'm gonna walk by one day and not think about it, and I know that's what you want me to do, but if you're constantly masking it and I'm constantly trying to ignore it, then you're winning.
Yeah, did y'all see where that was one of my questions, that just kind of curious, talking about ideologies and symbolic things. They knocked over the Christopher Columbus statue yesterday or the day before, and then that got me to thinking about, Central High and the Little Rock 9 Museum, just because I'm a graduate of Central, and that's a big part of the history of that school.
Yeah.
Even on a national level, where does that stop? Because so many big monuments in our entire history as a country were shaped by things that have happened in the past. Do you tear down Central High because it was a symbol of hate? Do you, at what point does that all stop? Because to me, you could reverse that where it's a symbol of perseverance and overcoming
Right.
and where we're going and where we should be going.
Right.
Might be a better
So-
term, but I'm
Yeah.
just curious.
See, so, because I'm sorry, Oya, but we can't erase, like I was telling earlier, we can't erase our history, things that happen. So for me, when I see these the rebel flags and Confederate flags and things of this nature, I can sit back and tell my kids, okay, this is what happened throughout this time. Fast forward 2030, this is what we are now. And then even
Right.
with Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter is going to be in the history book.
Right.
We don't want them to erase that. So
Right.
let's okay. Throughout this time, it was a painful time that your grandmother experienced, but through my time, we was actually the fighters. And now is your time. They're going to 10 years from that, when they're older, they're going to have something that's going to shape and mold who they are. So that's their culture at that time, and I don't have a problem with the when I see NASCAR take out the Confederate flag. To me, it symbolized that they understand. Like you said,
Right.
it's like the most redneck thing ever. And for them to say, you know what, we're taking down this flag and saying that we're not allowing this anymore, and we're seeing that it's injustice that's going on, and we're on your side. That's something bigger than just a flag for me. That's saying that a lot of people out here are actually opening their eyes and understanding what's going on.
I wanna point out that being a redneck is more than the negative part of being a redneck. They have some things that may not, you know what I'm saying, I may not be interested in, but
Redneck doesn't automatically mean racist either.
exactly. And so my thing, going back to Central, tearing it down, things like that. Now this is where the masking is what integration was not the goal. Desegregation was the goal. So integrating at Central, you look at Central now, we had 9 people go to Central when we integrated. It's predominantly black. The white people left and went somewhere else and started new schools because they still did not want to associate with us. Integration is a law, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be, you can't not get a job because of the color of your skin now. But at the end of the day, it's a mask. It's just a mask. It's not that people have a change of heart, really. It looks good to tear down the statue and say, oh, we're not going to represent this. But the people that's a part of NASCAR, they still feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, how can you prove that they don't feel that way anymore? You can't.
We won't know. But we won't.
So put your flag up so I know when I'm walking on your territory what to expect. Don't take it down. Because I don't want you to hide it from me. I don't want you to pretend like you really want to be my friend. And you don't.
All right.
We can be taught racism from birth, but whenever you experience it for yourself and you say, okay, you know what, I don't want to be like this, you can always change. So if NASCAR was racist or generations, and then they're saying, hey, you know what, I'm tired of being racist, I'm gonna accept you with open arms. That's me.
That's true. Well, we got 1 minute. So on that note, this is the solution is to talk it out. You know what I mean? Have this conversation. Even if you don't agree, it's just to have the conversation and to understand where each party is coming from. You know what I mean? So we made good ground. 3 Guys, No Lies is being innovative. You know what I mean? And we're having a conversation with the people that matters. So we have an ally. David is an ally for us.
Right.
So you know what I mean? So the change begins with conversation. So in order to change, we have to know where each other stands. So
That's true.
That is very true.
Anybody else want to have a closing? That was my closing. Okay. All right.
I just want to say
Yeah,
thank you for being here and allowing the conversation to
Wrap it
happen.
up. KK giving us the wrap it up sign. She cut the light out on us, so I guess it's time to go.
Smooth, call me later so we can have phone sex.
Oh, she wants to.
Oh.
She with it.
Oh.
She with it smooth. I just want to listen in.
Maybe
I'm
we
a-
can start
I'm a-
an OnlyFans for phone text or
I'm
something.
a mute smooth. I just want to hear Oya. I just want to hear you moan one time.
Oh.
Ooh, Oya, just moan one time for me. Moan one time for me, Oya.
That's
Oya,
so funny.
just moan.
I can't.
Hey, thank y'all
You
for
can,
tuning
Mom.
in to Three Guys No Lies. So we really appreciate Mr. Davis for coming.
Yep.
And also something positive that you can leave off of. If your breast is too big, you can wear a training bra. So,
Wow.
for wearing his first training bra on the episode.
And if you're as dark as smooth, you can always get LED lights there.
Hey guys, this has been Three Guys No Lies, and if you have a question that you want to send in to us, and for us to discuss or talk about, it can be from anywhere. Send
Let's
it to
talk
Three
about
Guys.
sex, baby.
Yeah, you can talk about sex too. It's 3guysnolies@gmail.com. Come on, guys.
That's
3guysnolies@gmail.com. Let's hit it at 3guysnolies@gmail.com. Booyaka, booyaka, ow. I'm drunk. I don't know. 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 I don't know.